I'll do this. Hi there. I'm Kathy Dawson. I am a tutor at Seeds, and this lesson is about sentence fragments and run-on sentences. So, to define sentence fragments are pieces of sentences that have become disconnected from the main clause, the main idea. The easiest way to correct it is to remove the period and finish the complete thought. Sometimes the sentence needs punctuation before making the complete thought. So we have some examples. Do you want to look these over, Lana, and tell me what you think?
Okay. Some people who like chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Some people who like chocolate. Some people who like chocolate will like this bakery. Well, number one is incomplete, and the comma completes it. It actually makes it make sense. Without it, it does not.
So some people who like chocolate will like this bakery. And technically, I'll tell you, if you take out the comma, some people who like chocolate will like this bakery is fine as well. That also works, either one. You don't really need the comma in there, actually. How about the next one?
From morning until night. The employees work from morning until night. From morning until night, the employees worked. Okay. No, go ahead. Well, you want to ask a question?
So the difference in this one is that the word from is an introductory word for a subjunctive clause, which is an incomplete sentence. So that comma works there. From morning until night, comma, the employees worked.
Okay. Yeah. The other one, the employees work from morning until night. From morning until night, the employees work. I actually think the second one sounds better. Not that the first one couldn't be used, but the second one just, it makes more sense to me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So if you put that introductory clause at the end of the sentence, you usually don't need a comma. It's when it's at the front that you need a comma after it like that.
Yeah.
Try next one.
Okay. Before you work with food. That's an incomplete sentence. It's part of a sentence that's missing parts.
Right.
Before you work with food, please wash your hands. Please wash your hands before you work with food makes more sense, because the other way to me sounds backwards. Like as far as sequence go, you would wash your hands first. That's a logical thing to do before you work with food.
You know, either one works, but for you, if it's easier on the ears the second way.
Yeah. Keep it in my eyes too.
So what I did here was, did you have a question?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
What I did here was I made a few paragraphs, and I'm going to have you correct this paragraph because it's filled with errors having to do with sentence fragments, and I'll change it as you tell me.
Okay. After we arrived home from our vacation, we were exhausted. Although we had a good time in Florida, our flight was delayed for 10 hours. Spending that much time in the airport was not fun. Well, you got a couple of periods that shouldn't be where they are. Actually, commas should be there.
Okay, so where do you want me to change? What do you want me to do?
Okay, it says after we arrived home from our vacation, that's where a comma should go.
Okay.
And we should not be capitalized. It actually should be lowercase.
Right.
We were exhausted, and that's fine because that's a complete sentence. It says, although, I think it should be a comma where although after although. It says, although we had a good time in Florida, it should be another comma because that's not a complete sentence, so it shouldn't be a period after Florida. Right. And R should be lowercase. Our flight was delayed for 10 hours, and the period after 10 hours is fine.
Mhm.
Spending that much time, remove the period, spending that much time in the airport was not fun, and in should not be capitalized, but the period after fun is fine.
Right. Let's go back to the sentence before that, where you have, although we had a good time in Florida, comma, our flight was delayed for 10 hours. You had mentioned you wanted to put a comma after although. You
Mhm.
really, that's not necessary because your comma is after the word Florida.
Okay.
You could say, no, it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, so you don't need a comma after although because your subjunctive clause is although we had a good time in Florida.
Okay. Okay. The next part. Okay. Okay, we all fell into bed after we got inside the house. When we woke, we were all hungry. We made dinner and rented a movie. We started to watch the movies. We all fell asleep. Okay. It says we all fell into bed. Remove the period, lowercase a in the word after. It
Right.
says, okay, we all fell in bed after we got inside the house. Okay, when we woke, comma, remove the period, lowercase, the W and we.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when we woke, we were all hungry. There shouldn't even be, I don't think there should be a period after hungry either. More, maybe a comma, maybe, but not necessarily a period.
You could do either way, but look what happens when you take the period out. So you say, when we awoke, we were all hungry, comma,
Mm-hmm.
we made a dinner.
Lowercase the W.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we made a dinner and rented a movie.
When we
Like,
awoke.
to me, that sounds fine. Maybe it's not, but to me, that sounds fine. I don't think a period should have been behind hungry, though.
No, definitely not. So you could go one of two ways. You could have when we woke, comma, we were all hungry, period. Then capital W, we made a dinner and rented a movie, period. Or we could do what you said, when we awoke, comma, we were all hungry, comma, and then add an introductory word, which is so we made a dinner and rented a movie.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Uh,
That's a conjunction, a coordinating conjunction there, and it does need a little word in there. You could have used
okay.
and or so. When we awoke, we were all hungry and we made a dinner. So is the best way. That's the best word. Yeah.
And it sounds better. But either or, I'm no scholar.
Grammatically, it's correct. Yeah.
Um, when we started to watch the movie, we all fell asleep. We moved the period after movie and make a comma,
Right.
transition to a lowercase w, lowercase, mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. Good job. Excellent.
Fine.
You're a good editor. You're a good editor. That's what editors do. They move stuff around like that. That's great. Oh, there's one
Yeah.
more sentence. Okay, one more sentence.
Okay. We felt better when we woke the next day. I went to work after my breakfast. I had a good day. Okay, we felt better. We moved the period, lowercase the W and
Right.
when we woke the next day. Um, hmm. Felt better when we woke the next day.
After I ate my breakfast.
Huh?
You know, I kind of lost you there for a second. So,
Oh,
No, that was someone else speaking. I think that was Brianna. Yeah, that was Brianna. That wasn't me.
oh,
Yep, I'm on here.
Hi, Brianna.
Um, okay, since I went, no, okay, so
Hi.
Hi.
um, the next day I went to work. So remove the period after word, lowercase the a and after,
Okay.
and remove the lowercase the a, and then remove the period after breakfast,
Breakfast.
and then make a went to work after my breakfast, then a comma. They could be said, I had a great day.
So actually, the comma doesn't work. I went to after my breakfast. Well, unless you have a conjunction after it. What conjunction could you use?
Let me see. I went to work after my breakfast, and I had a good day.
Yep. Very good. Very good. So Brianna, we just finished a little section here on sentence fragments. Do you want me to kind of review? Probably a good idea. So sentence fragments
Yeah,
are,
sure.
okay, they're pieces of sentences that have become disconnected from the main idea or the main clause. And they look like this. And example number one, some people who like chocolate, period, right? That's not a complete sentence. It's got a subject, but it doesn't have a verb. So that's a sentence fragment. And the way to fix it would be to say, some people who like chocolate will like this bakery. So do you see the difference between a sentence fragment and a complete sentence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what we did was we just went through these different examples of sentence fragments and then what it looks like in a complete sentence. So from morning until night, then the employees worked from morning until night, or you could switch it around and say from morning until night, comma, the employees worked. Um,
Okay.
Next one, before you work with food, comma, please wash your hands, or please wash your hands before you work with food. Either one of those works, whatever, sounds good to you. And then I gave a little, you came in around this point, I think, with the paragraph, and Lana was correcting all the mistakes because I had a bunch of sentence fragments in there. And so she was taking out the period and putting a comma in to make a complete sentence. Let's
Okay.
move on. Yeah, let's move on to run-on sentences. So run-on sentences occur when two or more independent clauses, complete sentences, are connected. There should be a parentheses here. Independent clauses or complete sentences, whoops, are connected. Improper. So some of the examples are, Carol went to the store, she bought groceries for cooking dinner. What's wrong with that sentence, do you think?
Because it should be a comma. No, actually, the after store it should be a period, and she should be capitalized.
Exactly. So when run-on sentences do exactly what they look like. They run on and on and on, and there's no punctuation. Have you ever known anybody who you talk to and they go on and on and on and they don't stop talking? You know anybody like that?
Like
I think we all know somebody like that. That's verbal run-on sentences, right? These are written because the verbal, nobody's pausing. They're not like, there's no punctuation in their voice. So Cheryl went to the store. Oh, that's the example. Where are we? Okay, Cheryl went to the store, period. And then capitalize the S for the next sentence. Great. Now, before we move on to the other ones, I want to show you these ways to fix run-on sentences because I'd like you to try to use one of each of these to fix a sentence. One way is what we just did, was insert a period between the two complete sentences and capitalize the first letter of the second sentence. Another way is to use a semicolon in between the two complete sentences. Does anybody want to explain what a semicolon is, if you know?
This is what it is. This 2 dots is a colon.
Yes.
And a dot and what looks like a comma is a semicolon.
Yes.
Sometimes it's used to set an example, like for example, sometimes, or it's used to describe something.
That's actually what a colon does. This is very tricky. A colon you use before you want to list some examples of something, right? A semicolon is to separate two complete sentences, but the complete sentences have to connect. The ideas have to be connected. So, for instance, you wouldn't use a semicolon with, I went to the store, it was a sunny day. Okay, because I went to the store really doesn't have anything to do with the weather. So you would put a period after, here, I'll write this out so that you can see it. I went to the store, period. It was a sunny day. Those are not really connected ideas, so you have a period between them. You use a semicolon when you have something that's connected. Like if I said, I went to the store, semicolon, I bought 3 pairs of shoes. See, that you can use a semicolon with, because the second part of that has to do with something you bought at the store.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, you know, how do I say this? Most people don't use semicolons, and you see it a lot in literature and in school stuff. But you're certainly welcome to impress your friends and family by using a semicolon, because most people don't know how to use a semicolon. So is it clear how I describe the difference between a period and a semicolon?
Yes.
What do you think, Brianna? I want to make sure I'm getting to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's one way
Well,
to.
basically, if you use
I'm sorry, I didn't
well,
hear
I was saying if you're going to use that semicolon, you would have to have a sentence that finish what you were talking about,
you. Exactly,
basically.
exactly. Thumbs up, that's right. Okay, so that's another way to fix a run-on sentence, is to stick a semicolon in there, but you got to ask yourself, does the second part have to do with the first part, just what Brianna was saying? Number 3, you insert a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions are these little words like but, and, for, yet, so. We've done that before. Or you can fix a run-on sentence by using a subordinating conjunction, which are just one words, like because, unless, although, to separate two complete sentences. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, let's look at this. Brianna, you go this time. Let's look at this sentence here with Jason and see if you can pick one of the 4 ways to fix this run-on sentence. No, it's not all on the same.
Okay.
I'm going to move this down a page, down to the next page, to see if you can see all these sentences with the ways to fix, so that I have it all on one page. There we go. So right now it's a big run-on sentence. Let me know if you need help.
So you want me to fix the is it the summer, this one?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Wait, did we?
Which line?
The one with Jason. Jason, yeah.
Okay, Jason. So will we put it in between baseball because it says that he plays right field?
So where would you, which punctuation would you,
Uh,
where would, yeah, you tell me which punctuation you'd use and where you'd put it where you'd put it in the sentence.
the the conjunction one.
The
I think that's what it's called.
this one down here, insert a comma and a coordinating conjunction. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so which conjunction of these little words here would you put in there?
Okay. Just let's play place right field. Complete sentence. Can we uh mm, can we put like a comma there?
Yeah. And then
Do we put a comma in between?
you can't do that unless you have a coordinating conjunction after it. Yeah. Whoops. Does it make sense to
Hmm.
say Jason loves to play baseball, but he plays right field? That doesn't work, right? That doesn't make sense.
Listen.
What if
Okay.
what if you said Jason loves to play baseball and he
Right.
plays right field? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's better.
Yep, that'll
Yeah.
work. That works. I mean, grammatically, that works. Okay, this one here, Lana, how would you, which of these would you use to fix this sentence, this run-on?
Okay, summer is my favorite season. I love to swim in the pool and ride my bike. Summer is my favorite season because I love to swim in the pool and ride my bike.
That'll work. Okay, could you use anything else just for fun if you didn't use because?
Let's see, summer is my favorite season. I could have used and. I could have used a colon.
You mean a semicolon?
No, because the semicolon uh, you said was for to list, like a list of things. This is not exactly a list.
No, that if I said that I was incorrect. A colon is used before you list things, right? Or put an example of something. A semicolon can be used here because it would separate two ideas that are similarly are connected.
Okay.
But I love the one that you used. I mean, it's perfect. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just trying to get you to think out of the box, kind of thing. Okay,
It's work.
okay, Brianna, you got the next one.
Okay, so I would just say Margaret plays the piano and she doesn't practice much.
I mean, you could say that. Uh,
But
you
she
could,
doesn't practice much.
yeah, that's probably the, well, here's the funny thing is, so let me back up a second. I'm a relationship coach. This is what I do for a living. And I work with people on how to communicate productively. And I tell them to avoid the word but because it puts a negative spin on whatever you're saying. Sometimes you have to say it. But if you want to get but out of there, you could say Margaret plays the piano and she doesn't practice much. If you're trying to not be so negative, right? Like Margaret plays the piano, but she doesn't practice much. You know, so it's kind of saying, but she doesn't practice much erases the fact that Margaret does play the piano. So you can use the word and. I want you to know that. This works.
Okay.
Yeah, but good job. That worked. Okay. Next one, Lana.
Okay, Dave is going to college. He saved up enough money. Dave is going to college because he saved up enough money.
That's right. Great. Could you use anything else?
Let me see. I guess I can use a I can use a
A what?
comma.
You
Oh, it's
could,
still
if you did this, I'll show you. You could say because Dave saved up enough money.
he's going to college.
Yes, he's going to college because you created an a dependent clause, a subordinating clause, in a fragment. You know, because Dave saved up enough money, comma, he is going to college. Yeah, but the other way wouldn't work. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
David's
Okay.
going to college. Well, I guess I'm confused again. Both said by colon and a semicolon. I'm confused again.
You
I have to
think?
remember which is which.
Okay. Think. Let me think. Think about those two dots that are a colon. Think about you have to have at least two things, not always, but mostly two things after the two dots to make a list. So that the number 2 will get you to remember two dots following at least two things.
No, I'm saying I know, like visually I know the difference between a comma and a semicolon, but I'm saying what I thought that the difference between the colon and a semicolon is different from what you said. So I'm kind of like in my head it's not registered.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this. If I take out because and I say Dave is going to college, colon, he saved up enough money. Does that make sense?
Well, let me put it this way. Normally when I see a colon as such, it's like, say, for example, if I'm mailing off something and I would have a net, like say, like when you look on an application, it will say this. It would say name. It would say name, then you would see a colon, and then you'll put the
Right.
name here. Or if I was writing a letter and I say, dear sir or dear madam, and I would
Right.
see a colon. Now,
Yeah.
when I see a semicolon, like say, I would write grocery list, right?
Uh-huh.
And then
Is that a semicolon? I can't see.
yes, that's a semi. And then
Yeah.
I would like go a list. So I'm just saying, looking at it in this form, it's like a different format from, you know what I'm saying, like the way I work, used to work with it. So
Right. So
I don't Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, with the colon in this instance doesn't work, but a semicolon would,
Mm-hmm.
because it's two separate ideas that have something to do with each other. Where you were saying, which you were correct, if you said this, if you did a grocery list and you said apples and then, I don't know, whatever you're going to put on there, that's a colon. That's the appropriate use of a colon.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't stick the colon in between these sentences here, though, right? That,
Right.
yeah, so that's where you use a semicolon. So you wouldn't do this, grocery list, semicolon, apples. That isn't the way to use a semicolon. It's the first one here that works.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember the colon is a list, and the other one is more of putting things together or something that have something in common.
Yep,
Is with semi. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Brianna, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, why don't you do the last one here? This sentence, tell me how to fix it.
Okay, because I've been sitting over here trying to figure out. You will enjoy meeting my friends, and they will enjoy meeting you.
Yes, yes. Now, the only thing is there any kind of punctuation that has to go before the word and?
And is it the quotation? Is that what it is?
It's a comma. And they
Oh
will
yeah.
enjoy meeting you. So when you have two complete sentences like we have here, and you use one of those little conjunctions, you always put a comma before it. But you pick the perfect conjunction for that sentence.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's right.
Oh, I guess we have two more. I put it down at the bottom. Okay, Lana, your turn.
Okay. I went to the store. It was a sunny day. So I went to the store. Hmm. And so I'm going to use a semi.
Nice.
Semicolon, I'm sorry.
You got
Semicolon.
you got it. Yay. Now, do you do anything with the next letter?
Um, Capitalized. It should be capitalized. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't.
Yeah, the capitalized becomes small because this is all one sentence here.
Okay,
So
so we know it's the I. Okay.
yep. Yep.
All right.
So you just remember your semicolon is used in a complete set in two complete ideas, right? With a period at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Brianna, you want to do this one?
Um, I thought the next one I went to the store. I bought 3 pair of shoes.
Whoops, sorry about that. I did that for you. But
It's,
you
I
can,
was like, it looks like it's right
yeah,
already.
yeah, good. You use it. You could also use something else. What could you use?
And I bought 3 pair of shoes.
Right. Right. Now, because it's two complete sentences and you're using a conjunction here, you put
A
a
comma.
exactly. Good. Well, that was it. Now, this is interesting because one of the ways to fix a run-on sentence is to use a fragment, which is I shouldn't say a fragment, but a set where is it here? Use a subordinating conjunction, which isn't a fragment, but it's kind of starts a fragment, like the word because or unless. although you can stick that in the middle and that changes it. So, do you have any questions on the difference between sentence fragments and run-ons?
No.
No? Okay, good.
No.
All right. Well, that's it for this.